I talk to you, but also to everyone in Discord. Discord users can chat and talk to me, both of which appears on stream. The downside is if you're in the Discord voice chat, you will have to mute the stream because otherwise you will have everything doubled with a really awkward delay in between. So for whoever is on mobile, we will have to find a better solution for that. Honestly, I don't want the screen to be the most important part. I don't want the visuals to be the most important part of this, but I want the audio to be the most important part of this, and maybe the chat. So if you're on Discord, you actually get the main chat and the voice chat experience. But it would be even better if you could still watch the Twitch screen, because we will not be doing anything where it's so vital that it's maybe 20 or 30 seconds delayed. So who am I talking to? I have a feeling that I know at least one of you, maybe both, but maybe you could introduce yourself. And for now, I'm not mute. Like you both have voice capabilities. If we are too many, then I will have to start muting people or unmuting them when they are allowed to speak. So who wants to start?
Well, I can start.
Yes, please.
Yes. I'm Hans. I live in Oslo, Norway, and my proudest achievement was losing the PTQ finals a couple weeks ago.
So you came one match close to qualifying for the Pro Tour?
Yeah.
And are you still actively trying to get onto the Pro Tour?
I mean, not more or less, just like doing online PTQ from time to time.
Do you
I
primarily
mostly play online.
Okay, so you would identify as an online player primarily.
Oh, I only play limited basically.
So only limited. I will turn up your volume a little bit so I can actually do that here, which is kind of quite cool.
I found I can control my output volume, but at that control it's basically at max right now.
No problem. I put
So
you I put you at 200% within Discord, so now it will be a bit more evenly on the Twitch chat. So FLRN. I never understood why you have this nickname, but tell the Twitch chat who you are.
Well, I'm Florian, and you know me from the house in Madrid, where we stayed for the Pro Tour.
Florian, now I understand the nickname also.
Yeah, it's basically my pre-name without vowels.
Yes, and you played at least one Pro Tour, maybe more.
Yeah, only one.
Only the one in Madrid. Yeah, we were in the same testing house together. Okay, how? Did you say your name is Hans Oka Proker?
Yes.
Hans is a name I'm quite familiar with from the German language, of course. So, how did you? No, what's your relationship with Twitch or with Twitch Magic streams? Are you both active viewers?
Oh yes. I mostly at the moment watch Neil Oliver.
Yes.
I'm actually modding that channel, and actually can't remember how I started watching Twitch a couple years ago, but I'm and I watch coverage from time to time.
From
And
time to
usually,
time,
at least,
not always, because
I mean, I guess it's more precise to say most of the time.
okay.
At least I check on if there's a stream on the weekend. I usually check on at least watch some of it.
So you play limited only. You play a lot of Magic Online, and you follow streams, and through that you almost qualified for the Pro Tour. If that's is that like a good summary?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We might have somebody else joining here. If you if you are focused on limited, then maybe the draft viewer that I've prepared could be a nice thing to talk about, because I have this um, I have this method which I use to discuss drafts with other people, and it's a little bit different to how we usually approach usually approach limited. Now we will have to work out the fact that you can't see the screen right now, I believe. Anyway, so
Actually, I'm double tasking here, which is it's why I might not sound too focused. So I'm just using my desktop computer too at the same time. I'm just putting up the any moment now.
no problem, no problem. I think we will have a few more people joining us, which is the whole idea of the exercise. So I don't know how well you know me. I assume if you are here in this experimental chat that you watch some of my streams, watch some of my content, the things I produced in the past, and if I
Well, I
may,
watched Gertzen and Gertzen.
yes, of course, Götzen and Götzen, one of the
Who
premium
didn't?
one of the premium German strategy series. That was actually a limited draft video series I did with my brother, with my younger brother. And this is years ago. It has been years now, but we still get people that ask us when it's coming back or if it's coming back. And for me, most of you will know that I won a pro tour pretty much 7 years ago. Yeah, it's been over 7 years now. And then I started doing content, but not so much focused on articles. Instead, I did, of course, the official coverage jobs that I could get for mostly European GPs. But also I dabbled in video production. So what I did was the Simon Says series on MTGO Academy. And then I did the Götzen and Götzen series in German language with my brother on planetmtg.de. And they're actually rerunning some of our shows, some of our episodes, which is quite funny because I don't know, it's so long ago, but somehow, especially when Magic Online is going into flashback mode, it's quite fun to look at to watch how we drafted, for example, Return to Ravnica or Guild Crash when it was live. And my brother and we would really develop preferences and strategies that would suit our playstyle. So Gruul, for example, drafting Gruul in Gate Crash was just something we knew inside out, and we prioritized certain cards that nobody drafted highly, but they would always be the deciding factor when it came to these games. Okay.
Yeah, I think the reruns were because of the flashback drafts on Modo.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually a funny thing. If flashback drafts on Magic Online didn't exist, the knowledge or insights or even the entertainment that this work you invest into a video series somehow gets lost. And this is where Magic is, on the one hand, really really great, because the ever-changing nature of the game makes it so interesting to keep up and to always aim for the best possible strategies, but they are also changing. So on the other hand, this means that a lot of the knowledge you create, a lot of the I don't know, a lot of the things you do, they just become almost worthless. And by almost worthless, I mean, let's say, from the 100% scale of how relevant certain skills are, maybe 20% or 15 to 20% of what you learn about a format can be applied to future formats, but the remaining 85% are not as easy to transfer. This is also why I personally really I'm a big believer in the fact that learning Magic has to be done on a much more fundamental level. Of course, you can learn a limited format, you can learn a standard format, and you can continuously keep up with what's going on. But if you really want to improve, you have to get those fundamentals. You have to improve on the fundamentals so that somehow you increase how much knowledge you take over from each format to the other. I think that, for example, Paul Witzel is a great example of somebody who is, or Jelga Rigesma. They have such an insane knowledge which they can apply to not only the format they're currently playing, but their biggest strength is that when there is a new format and they just get thrown into cold waters, they take all the knowledge they have from before and apply it in an energy efficient way, mental energy efficient way to the new format to get that head start. Okay. Pasquala Bear, welcome. You're currently muted, but I think that's intentional. I don't know how I set it up. I think you should all be on push to talk, which is probably
hello.
which is probably
No,
good.
I'm
Okay.
normal. I can just speak, but
Okay.
yeah, we're setting up all the sound stuff so I don't have like feedback on the stream and stuff.
So you can hear me, and if somebody else would talk, the others also on Discord.
Yeah, that's working fine.
Great. So at least my idea is working on from the technological side. We will see how valuable this stream will end up being. So thank you for being here at this time of testing. So do you want to introduce yourself, or would you rather stay silent?
Yeah, sure. I'm Pascal. I'm from Hanover, in Germany, and I'm like in a similar spot as Oka Proker. I had a few near misses for the Pro Tour in 2016, trying to grind and get there. Had a WMCQ top 4, the one in Hanover, which Dennis Nolte won for Germany.
Yes.
And a top 8 in RPTQ Dortmund, where your brother won one of the slots, I think.
Yes.
Is that correct?
But this was, I think, a top 8 draft, or at least one more round.
Yeah, and I lost my win in basically.
So just like Oka Proka, you have been one match win away from a proto qualification.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and
I'm trying to step it up and get that one more win in 2017, basically.
Great. So is your approach going to be PPTQs, RPTQs, and maybe GPs, or which tournaments do you want to use to get to the Pro Tour?
Yeah, mostly Magic Online PPTQs and RPTQs, or Magic Online PTQs, or whatever they are called. That system is the one I'm...
Yes. Okay. So they are not. I don't think they're called RPTQs because you can actually play your RPTQ online, but that's kind of the real life RPTQ, and then you can do PTQ preliminaries and PTQ finals, which is...
I'm using the Magic Online preliminaries mostly, and then I'm going to some paper PPTQs. For example, tomorrow is one in Hamburg where I'm going, which is sealed.
Sealed deck.
Yeah, but yes. I'm going to be driving there.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, somebody else said something, but I missed it. So if you want to say something, you have to make yourself heard. Okay.
No, I didn't want to interrupt everybody. So hi, I'm Jörg.
Hello.
I watch your content for like 10 years ago or something. It's a very long time ago on Planet MTG.
Yes.
I'm
still alive.
And great to hear, great to see, and I really like your content. Just to say it out in front. I play Magic since 1994. I started with 4th edition.
That's longer than me, just for the record.
But the problem was I was a young kid. English wasn't my first language, so I kind of dropped out of Magic and entered my first tournament was a pre-release of Mirrodin set, I think, when I was 18. So
that should be 2003 or 4.
Yeah,
around.
And since then, I'm already hooked and playing mostly casual. I like the limited format more than the constructed, especially sealed decks. Sealed is my format. I like to shine there, and yeah.
But I wouldn't connect casual play and sealed deck.
Yeah,
so much.
I know. But the problem is when I had the time to go to really high stakes and high professional tournaments, I didn't have the money.
Okay.
I was a poor student, and now I have the money, but I don't have the time anymore. So
that's the sad reality of life. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself a casual. I do regularly good in my limited format. Standard, I play standard. I play every format essentially.
So
not the extended legacy ones, but
so when you play, let's say competitively or well, but your ambitions are maybe not as high as somebody who has the goal to qualify for the Pro Tour this year.
I had the ambitions, to be honest. I don't know if you remember the German nationals were held in Aschaffenburg. And I used to live and come from the area, so I was there showing up every year, grinding. I was trying to qualify for those events to get some buys and stuff like that.
I always told myself, if I ever not qualify for nationals through whatever German nationals through whatever means, I would quit Magic, and then they got rid of it. So
yeah, it was so sad that they got rid of the nationals.
yes.
I quite enjoyed them because they were like 15 minutes away from my home.
Oh, but even if you had to drive a little bit, it's a special. It's just a special atmosphere, or it was a special atmosphere.
Yeah. It was great. The artists and it was nice. And I played if you know the league system in Magic League system.
Do you mean like German Bundesliga?
Yeah. There was Amigo, when the time was when Amigo Spiele was the distributor of Magic the Gathering. They had these Bundesliga, second Bundesliga stuff going on.
We should
essentially teams.
We should explain to our viewers that this is 15 years ago.
Oh, really? It's so long time. Oh, God.
So I think maybe it was still alive a few years later, but it basically got discontinued. Funnily enough, the format that was played was very similar to the old Team Worlds format, where you had the individual worlds, but team rounds after each day. And I think recently the Star City Games team event had a format which was effectively the same. I remember from Constructed you played. You used to play standard. What was
extended
it?
and limited.
Okay.
No, not limited. You had block constructed, standard, and extended.
And now Star City Games made the constructed team constructed tournament where you played standard, modern, and legacy. So it's the same idea. One
but the time was great.
Yes.
Actually, you had do you had to play with 3 friends against other 3 friends or friends, and you had just pure Magic Day on your Saturday or Sunday. Great time.
One question about nationals. What do you think? How do you feel about the announcements that nationals are back in a way? That the
I
WMCQ
do
system
think
is changing.
I am excited, and I hope it's going to be again in Aschaffenburg, because it's very easy to me to get there. So
That's a rather subjective point
yeah,
of
of
view,
course,
yes,
but
but
yes, of course, but I mean I live like 10 kilometers away, so
okay. At that point, I could maybe tell people where I live right now. I live at the Mediterranean Sea, so for me, German nationals will be far away.
well,
But
Simon, if you ever need a place in the middle of Germany, you have a viewer and you have always a room here.
okay, I will just post it on Twitter that
Okay.
I need a
Uh,
room, and whoever is first
no,
will get it.
nah, it's literally easy for me to get there, and the German nationals had a very, very cool feeling. You had all these people together. You had the awesome judges. We had with Michael, or you know him. He was the judge coordinator, and yeah, he was great. He
Okay,
was one of the best judges,
and
and it was just a great time.
okay, so
Oh, and
I'm.
I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jörg.
Oh, you said that.
Okay,
Yes, you
okay.
did.
I,
No problem. Okay.
Well, are the nationals this time around like a one-day event with the top 8 on the other day? Like
I'm
just
not sure.
the I think it's just a WMCQ at one location for the 2 remaining slots.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the details have been finalized and announced. But this is for me also the big question. Will it? How close will it be to old nationals, and how close will it be to a 2-slot WMCQ? And this will also make for me a big difference in how to evaluate this event.
Well, I'm hoping for a split format because I never got a chance to play the old nationals because I wasn't playing Magic back then. But I think it's just a 2-slot double MCQ.
Yeah, it's standard only, sadly. Split format would have been really
no.
cool.
Well, we are seeing a large focus on standard in all areas of competitive Magic, and the reason is not so difficult to guess, but
Yeah, they want to sell product.
it's a balance in the end. So I will add some more things from my side maybe. So as you know, I haven't really been trying to qualify for the Pro Tour anymore. I played one in Spain, but that was just because this was one of the last old school PTQs, and that was actually when we tested together, Florian, in Madrid. No, that was not it.
That was not a Proto you
I
weren't
wasn't
playing, you were
qualified then.
staying with your brother.
No, Proto Born of the Gods. Proto Born of the Gods I qualified for. So that was the last Pro Tour I played. I would love to play a Pro Tour again, but for me the time investment into qualifying is a bit too high right now. I envy all of you for having being able to play as much Magic Online as you do, or to play PPTQs, RPTQs, and try to qualify this way. And then there are of course also GPs, which for me I think are one of the best tournaments to qualify. They are becoming bigger and bigger, so I'm not saying it's the easiest way to qualify, but from my perspective, of course, my goals with Magic are maybe a bit different than yours. From my perspective, a GP gives me a shot at a trophy, at a GP top 8, and the shot for qualifying. So it's kind of like two things at once in one. And if I make top 16 at the GP and don't qualify, I still have a really good result to come back home with. If I become let's say second at the WMCQ, or if I lose the top 8 draft of a 4-slot RPTQ, I drive home and I have, from my perspective, I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve this weekend.
Oh, there's my pizza.
Great, enjoy.
Well,
Awesome.
GPs are basically 8-slot PTQs for you.
Yes, that's how you could look at it. So, but it's not. I'm not the kind of person that goes ahead and does only the math. Let's say number of slots divided by number of players, expected percentage to qualify for the Pro Tour. That's absolutely not the case. What I do now with limited time is I pick very carefully which GPs I want to play. So I will see where it is, what's the format, and something that for me is absolutely amazing is the fact that Wizards has added more and more ways to play team GPs to the schedule. So if you wanted to be, let's say, maybe exaggerate a bit, I would be absolutely happy if I would only commentate GPs and play a few team GPs each year, because the team GPs are somehow the best combination of the experience. That you get a little bit of the team spirit that we talked about from national teams or the old German Bundesliga. But at the same time, you're playing a GP with coverage, with a trophy to win, and with a proto qualification. And the best part is, if you manage to qualify, you will qualify one or two of your teammates as well, which means that for testing for the Pro Tour, you already have a team, and all the logistics with travel and accommodation will be so much easier. I will actually fly to GP San Antonio, and then the week after there's GP Mexico City. They are both limited. Two of my friends are playing GP Orlando the week before, so I'm joining them for 2/3 of the weekend. And you don't have to fly to Central America to play team GPs, but if you haven't done so yet, I would really suggest to check out the schedule of the team events for 2017. Get two people together, get a team together, make a plan on when you would have time to practice, and then, I don't know, fly to Madrid or wherever else the team GPs are this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was in Rotterdam for the SEAL Team GP, and it was like we barely missed day 2 because we had 3 draws, but it was still an amazing experience playing with the team. So I definitely agree that those are the best events to be playing.
Yeah, at least from my perspective, we had the same experience at GP Nashville. We missed because of our second draw. I hate draws with a passion. I would get rid of them. We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
Well, the third draw is like a win, so.
Well, yeah, 3 draws is like 2 losses, but that's still not great.
But my deck just didn't win. I had like a blue-black control deck with no win conditions and like 3 Consulate Skygates.
Yeah, so
grinding through it.
This is for me maybe the only real downside of team GPs, or let's say there are 2 which are connected. The one is the danger of draws, and the second is the round times, because every match or almost every match goes into time. The rounds just take so much longer.
I always think people talk too much.
Yes,
when they play team GPs.
The communication is completely absurd, and it's fine when 3 people are still playing. It's bad when two matches are still going. I mean, two of the 3 matches, and then when it's 1 against 1, it's going to become a draw because there are just 6 people constantly trying to communicate the best lines. They are arguing about it, and it's so difficult to enforce this kind of. It's not slow play, but it's not.
But Simon, they
Yes.
changed the rule. I remember a time when there were team seals and stuff like that, where what's it called? I think outside assistance, and you get warnings and game losses and stuff like this
And
if your
disqualifications.
team and disqualifications if your team members communicated with you during the game or on specific things in a board state. So they actually enforced these bloated and time limits and time restraints because they wanted to open the communication.
Yes,
So-
and there is a good reason for that, because if you eliminate the communication completely, then why am I playing a team event? Of course, you could argue that it still reduces the variance and that you somehow still win and lose together. But I think the communication aspect is valuable. For example, if I'm unsure about a mulligan, it's good that I have two people to ask for feedback, but also to kind of share the responsibility of the decision. What I absolutely don't like is the fact that a game can be in turn 10, and then every next turn takes, like, let's say, easily 3-4 minutes, maybe 5, just because even though the player that's actually playing the game should have a plan of what he's trying to achieve, every decision is either interrupted, like the train of thoughts are constantly interrupted. I don't think that most teams are playing better in this mode, to be completely honest. From my experience, I've often seen that somehow the teammates to the left or right of my opponent have been giving worse advice because they weren't as into the game. They didn't have all the previous experience that the player I was playing against had, if this makes sense.
I completely agree with the point. I think you should let your teammate, you should trust them and just come to them for very critical situations and just let them play out their games for the rest of the time.
You also have to know the psychology, right? There are players who are just not very secure with their decision making. Then there are others who know exactly what they're doing and they are actually focusing on maybe representing something with their timing or with their behavior, and it's just a disaster waiting to happen. If I disrupt the person on my team that's already kind of unsure what to do, he will get more nervous. If I disrupt the person that's trying to represent something with a stupid question or why are we not doing this, I might destroy the whole phantasmal image that he has been trying to build, and basically destroy the chances of winning because maybe it all relied on a bluff being successful. This is the extreme example, but I'm making these extreme examples because they kind of explain what happens in practice, which is something in between. Okay. Ochre Procor, are you still here, Hans?
Yes.
Okay. I've put you're the one with them on mobile. No, but maybe not on mobile. Maybe a little bit on different devices.
Yeah, I'm around.
Okay, I didn't want to call you out like that, but if you are here, and this of course applies to the others, I wanted to look at actually I wanted to look at part 2 of the draft of yesterday. Now I don't know if the new drafts of today of the Magic Online Championship are already online, but that's not really the key point. So just a question beforehand: Are you following the Magic Online Championship?
Yes.
So
Not really.
Not really. That's an honest answer. I mean, It's not.
Not really. I had to work, so today was my LGS and some Magic playing. So not really following the championship right now.
You had to work yesterday, or you had to work.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yes, I'm also not so sure like how to position where to position the Magic Online Championship, because it's clearly not a GP, it's clearly not a Pro Tour, and also something which I really like is the fact that they are experimenting with new ways to cover it, because the online medium is of course it allows for different things that we currently don't have available in real life coverage. But if you want to talk about that, I mean, I still do a lot of real life coverage of GPs. So I did the World Magic Cup. When was it? Beginning of the year? End of last year? End of last year, right?
I think so.
My memory is deteriorating quickly, so who knows? Anyway,
Yes.
I've put Marcio Carvalho's draft from yesterday on the screen, and I just have to say, Marcio, as maybe complex of a character he is, his drafting in the last months and probably years has been absolutely tremendous, with basically a discipline but also a foresight that I haven't seen from many players, especially when you also look at what have the three, basically the three, not nations but the three regions, USA, Europe, and Japan, created. This is probably not fair anymore, because now we have to really say APAC region, with the power of all the non-Japanese players from the Asian regions. So one question for all of you, you can just, whoever wants to answer, just please answer. You can also use the chat, which is kind of sticking, hasn't really changed. I guess voice chat is just really much more cool than typing. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. My theory was that because people use Twitch chat, they would also come to Discord and type. But I guess if you come to Discord, you just start talking to me and us, which is way cooler. Anyway.
Well, I dislike Twitch chat.
What? Twitch chat is the best.
Twitch chat is the best? I don't know. I mostly watch Dota on Twitch, and that's like always spam all the time.
Yes, this is because they have 40,000 viewers, and
Yeah.
moderation becomes impossible, and yeah.
You know the term of chat lethal?
Yes, of course.
And yeah, Twitch chat is not the best chat. Some people make really good advices, but I say in general the overall Twitch chat is a bit weird.
Okay, that's a very careful formulation. I'm on a personal quest to become the person with the most moderation levels of moderation over different Magic the Gathering channels, and I think I'm on a pretty good run. So I know Twitch chat very well.
One of the best Magic channels in considering the fact of moderation is Darkest Mage, Michael Jacobs' stream.
Yes.
Very, very great Twitch chat. No spamming, no kappa thingies.
Well, kappa is banned, so
No, really good Magic talk, and not the typical. Yeah.
So actually, there's some way in Discord to use also other emoticons. So you can like import the emoticons that you use on Twitch or something like that, but I haven't figured it out yet. So that's my next goal, to get really full kappa functionality into this stream. Thank you, great. Anyway, what was I saying? Twitch chat. it's a difficult dance because yes, Darkest Mage has created a great Twitch chat with I would say very strict, one of the strictest rules of moderation. Both himself and probably his helpers. And then there are others where there is a bit more spamming, but still the content is somehow positive and valuable. Which for me, that's the most important part. If people enjoy the stream plus the chat, and it's always the question is how much of the chat is really the stream or not. I don't know. I think there are some streams where the chat is just a side note, but there are also streams where if you don't have the chat, I don't know how valuable it really is. If that makes sense. Okay, I'm just noticing a little bit here.
It's kind of weird I can get to that. Like it's like if you don't have to chat, it's like you're watching a conversation and it's like kind of interesting to play, but you can't like you have a thought, an idea, and then you want to participate to like share that thought. So that's
also there's the time delay, which is definitely not making it easier, the whole interactivity thing. And to me, unfortunately, it feels too often that that people are just basically spamming the one thing they want the broadcaster to read or react to, and because of the delay it's like really awkward. And I don't know, I don't have all the answers. I think Twitch chat is or Twitch is better because of the chat, but not every stream is better because of the chat.
Yeah, I mean, like Twitch doesn't really make sense without chat, if you think about it that way.
As a content creator, I have to think of whether to put the Twitch chat on the stream, which actually doesn't make sense if I assume that everybody is on a device with a large enough screen and everybody's watching live. But then if I'm on mobile myself, it becomes really like stupid to read the chat because I have to decrease my stream window by a large amount. So I don't really like the chat view on mobile. And then there's the other thing. If I want to upload my VODs so that you can watch them on Twitch replay or YouTube replay, and I'm really trying to have an interactive stream, like today, of course, watching this kind of interactive stream is not really great. It's almost impossible if the chat is not on stream. And somehow there's also a psychological difference. Now, we have some people here today which are just happy to be here, but they are passive. Or I asked them how they're doing, they told me, and then the pizza arrived and they are out. But there's still a big psychological difference if you have the power, the knowledge that you could go live, and it could become part, if only through chat or voice. But rather than watching a stream on YouTube when you know this was yesterday. At least for me, it makes a big difference. I'm not a big fan of watching streams that already happened. I don't know how you feel about this.
Me too. I'm only watching one content creator or two content creator in the VODs, and this is Loading Ready Run because they are awesome and they are in Canada.
Yes.
So 9 hours time delay is pretty harsh.
Okay.
So if you want to catch them live, you have to stay up at 3 a.m.
Which is a sacrifice that you're not even willing to make for Loading Ready Run.
No. And
you're
the
not
second one.
So you're not a true fan.
Well, actually, I am. I am supporting them on Patreon, and
that's great. No, I was kidding, of course.
Yeah, I know. And the second one is Darkest Mage because I'm following him for years, like 2012, I guess, a really long time, and he's providing me with such an informational and such a content, and he made me a better person and a better Magic player.
Oh, that's some strong words. Maybe you should tell him.
I already did,
Okay,
and
awesome.
especially in the behavior to the opponent and respecting the opponent and treating people with respect, because what does he always say? He he thinks that people have a reason behind stuff if they keep on open mana, and you don't just attack into stuff when your red black player has 5 mana open. You don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
you just don't.
There's actually there's a little more behind it, because often the argument can be extended a little bit. Because you say there is a reason my opponent left open 5 mana, because he's most likely holding this 5 mana instant removal spell. And if he's not, then I've already gained an advantage, because he will not be using his mana efficiently, and he will fall behind in tempo. So even if you are not sure about the fact that there is something coming, you are generating an advantage simply by preparing for the less positive outcome.
Just I think a better card to name here is impeccable timing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't if your white X player didn't have a play onto your or didn't answer your Friday right away, there is maybe an impeccable timing. You don't want to rush your Friday in.
It's difficult because it only costs 2, so it's a lot more difficult to read.
But he has to progress the board at some point, and if you putting out some other threats, he has to answer them. He can't just take your 2 or 4 damage every turn just because you're not attacking with your Freda.
I assume everybody that's listening knows the card Fling. They haven't reprinted it in a while, but it was in one of these core sets, and one of my favorite matches of Magic, I played against Michael Jacob at the Pro Tour, and my deck was, I think it was pretty busted, because I had this I don't know which set. It was probably like some Act of Treason Fling core set where that was legal. But
I think M12, but
I think it was the core set that also had these 2 mana uncommon mages that did something when you paid 4 mana or something.
Then it's M12, I guess.
Yeah, it would make sense. So
the Aether Mage or something like this, who draws a card in blue. Yeah.
So I don't know if Michael Jacob was already well versed in the path of treating opponents respectfully, but the third Fling certainly taught him an important lesson in staying calm and collected.
Yeah. I think when he won the Pro Tour, it was 2008 or something. He was a different person. He always admits it.
I'm just joking a little bit. Okay, so we have identified the fact, and it's not really surprising, that VODs have to have a certain property to be really interesting, which is kind of, I think, one of the main problems with Magic content in general. It all decays almost instantly. The relevance almost drops to 0 one day after it has been created.
But isn't that good for content creators, so they can keep making content?
It's good for platforms that want to effectively sell content, yes. I don't think it's good for content creators because, and their people are different. But for me, I always wanted my content to have a longer lifespan somehow.
Well, that depends if you're financially dependent on that or not.
Uh, yeah, it's a big part, but also it stops being fun to write a new article every week, and you're running out of topics, and then you're doing the third Ask Me Anything, and people read this, or actually you probably nowadays the statistics of how people are interacting with your website, and then you write this article and people spend how many minutes, maybe 3 4 5 minutes on this article. um I don't know, it's easy to say that they are earning money from it, so they like it, because I'm not
But
sure.
isn't it fun?
That's. Excuse me. Yes.
But isn't it, but isn't it funny that you say it's hard for the decay of the content when you actually said that your awesome YouTube videos are going to be relaunched on Planet MTG? It's actually really funny because it's your content you created and it's not decayed because it's
Yes,
reused.
but basically out of pure luck, right?
Yeah, of course, but I still love your videos, and I love the Gertzen, and Gertzen videos with your third brother,
Yeah,
uh,
these were
or
special.
second brother. Yeah, the Christmas special, they were so always fun. And it makes me smile again. Yeah, I'm talking about watching it with my best friends together on when we are when we want to have fun, and this is the content, and it is still great, and it will never be lost or forgotten or decayed. For me, maybe I'm different. I'm a weirdo. I'm
No,
sorry.
but I mean that's already great. I'm not saying if this piece of content reaches 3,000 people in its original lifespan, I don't expect there to be another 3,000 people out of nowhere because everybody wants to learn how to draft Gruul in Gatecrash in 2017. But if there's only a few people that somehow enjoy content that's being created, not only my content, but enjoy also old content for its entertainment or educational value, then maybe it's actually better than I think. Maybe my perspective is a bit too not pessimistic, but negative on this.
Well, I certainly think content can be very different in its longevity depending on how free it is from its format, I would say. For example, Paulo writes a lot of articles which are just like general strategy, which you can apply to every format. And I think those articles have a lot of value for a longer time. And I think some of your videos did that for me as well. Just
I
like general, how
I
you evaluate like switching colors, for example, or like this. There was one strategy piece on like the scale of aggression and going a little bigger and then like
exactly.
looping back around. Some of those like they have applications over multiple formats and then they gain longevity from that.
This was the whole point of the Simon Says video series. I realized as a consumer myself, I was watching these videos and I didn't have the feeling that you would become better from watching some of the best players in the world draft, for example, draft or play their games. And for me, this came down to two things: the quality of how to explain your decision making process. This is where I usually talk about the decision trees and all this kind of stuff, but not only within the game, but also on the meta layers, sideboarding, mulliganing, drafting, and all these things. And the other thing I wanted was to somehow just brutally brutally create longevity by including snippets and pieces of general insights and general knowledge. And this was, I think, the biggest difference from Simon Says to other content that was being put out at the time. Also, nobody really copied it. It's to be honest, it's very time consuming and it's very difficult to measure if people really like it. And then you also always on the internet you have people that tell you that they don't like it or that they think it's a waste of time.
There are always these kind of snowflakes in the internet, but you have to know the people who go to a certain site, Magic or everything else, they are normally interested in this stuff, and they want to they want to get good content, and yeah. And the most of the time they are lurkers. They read it and they say, "Oh wow, that's great. That brought me forward," or something like that. But there are a small percentage that gives positive feedback and a small percentage that gives negative feedback. But because there's a lack of feedback, it doesn't mean it wasn't good.
I know and I understand this on a rational level, but if you are a content creator and you put, I don't know, I put in 1 hour of extra work to produce a 10-minute piece that is basically like video zero, and then I get 5 YouTube comments which are all just absurdly negative, and in a way that's just not even remotely close to being like a valid complaint for something where you can just press the skip the video button and then you get everything else like a normal draft video like everybody else would produce it. That still does something to your soul. It's just a matter of how it affects you, I guess. And you will see this. You will see this with all content creators.
Of course, but just to, I just wanted to say that not every content consumer is commenting or is leaving a positive or negative feedback. Are you pushing the hey, how was your shopping experience button at the end of your shopping? You're not doing it.
No, but
not everybody is
at the
doing
airport.
it.
I do it, for example, but this is also, they have now finally realized that they need to make this experience in itself as simple and easy as possible. You know what I mean, right? The green smiley and the okay. Yeah, this is interesting, and for me, it's connected to technology as well, because now we have a number of unique viewers, we have minutes watched, we have likes, we have shares, we have comments, we have minutes interacted with the website. We can measure everything. We can measure clicks and scrolls, and basically, if you're not careful, this website owner will know your life story just because you read PV's last article. So this has nothing to do with Channel Fireball. I just let's just say the technology is there. The technology is there to really measure almost everything, but I have a feeling because this technology is so young and not very mature, a lot of people are struggling or experimenting in how to interpret the data they are generating with this. And I think it's easy to say that for a video series, the number of views is not an irrelevant number at all. I would say it's probably the one thing that measures how popular a series is, clearly. But then I don't know how long people stay on a website. I'm going to make a non-Magic example because it's much easier to explain. If you are really good at writing clickbait headlines, you will get a lot of views on your article. But if you're really generating value for the society or your readers, is a completely independent topic.
And also, how much or how many minutes did people stay on your article? As you said, if you have the perfect clickbait headline, and then you start and you solve it, and in the first paragraph, and people say, okay, right, clickbait, and go away to the next site. So you don't keep them on the site. You don't keep them to click on it, and you don't earn the money you want to earn with the clickbait.
Yeah, I don't have, like I said, I don't have the answers. It's just these things are on my mind.
Of course.
I co-founded a technology company, and always this kind of this kind of what can technology do, what should technology do is an interesting thing. I just saw some Twitch comments here, Twitch chat comments. By the way, if you're in Twitch chat, feel free to join us on Discord. You don't even need to you don't even need to register. I think I disabled that. But even if you do, Discord are really cool people, and it's a really cool product, so I endorse it. And now let's see. My thoughts process is part of my content, which stays relevant for longer. Says Vukrulas. Of course, this is true, and it's one of the reasons why I like being a commentator at GPs. Not because I feel like I have to be there to comment on every format, every draft, every standard top 8 that happens, but because I feel personally, and also from the feedback I'm getting, that the way I commentate as an expert Magic player, as an ex-professional Magic player, with a very clear analytical approach to the game, and somehow the power to convert that into words. That's where I see my niche, where I see I'm a good player, I'm a decent player, I understand what goes to the minds of the best players of today, and I can somehow break it down and explain also decision making and how certain strategies are formed, long term, short term, and that's for me is where also the, let's say, the joy of playing Magic competitively comes from.
Yeah, but that's a good point, because that's also what makes watching like Dota coverage very good, because you have like that one guy who's doing like the play-by-play, who's like just putting out what's going on there. And then they have there like a second guy who does like the analytical stuff, who's there to explain like what goes through the minds of the players. And therefore, I think it's very good to have ex-players or players who don't have the time but can explain in a very good way, so they can like I'm missing the English word. Fuck. they
You
it
said
works
the
very,
effort. You said the effort.
Okay.
it works very well together, I think.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I don't think you need another English word for that. It's clear what you mean. And let me just continue with the Twitch chat so that we get that done with. I stopped watching CFB draft videos. Nothing interesting. Okay. That's not really their fault though. If it's only because of what's going on at the table. I don't know if maybe draft leaks also added to that problem. I have to say that I have just a lot less time now, so watching draft videos is a lot lower on my list than it used to be. And Beltron, that's really great to hear. He says, just want to let you know that the Simon Says series was probably the most helpful thing to me in getting better at drafts, particularly the pre-draft strategy segments. Beltron, if you want to contribute, I would really be interested in knowing your level of Magic player. So how competitive would you describe yourself? What's your biggest achievement, and so on? Because I have a theory It's just a hypothesis. I have a hypothesis that if this is done well, explaining your thought process and somehow developing a framework for thinking about magic can be helpful for every stage of Magic play. They have to have a certain competitive drive for it to make sense, because if they just want to have fun and the quality of the decision making doesn't matter, then we don't have to build a framework for decision making. But otherwise, I think from FNM player to world champion, but also maybe game designer or people that have some other roles, content creators, this kind of way of thinking can really enrich their experience, and then again how they transport it to others. And then Vukulis, wouldn't the metric how many content consumers return? Yes. Make a suggestion how to really measure that, because let's say uniquely identifying people is possible, but we're entering some shady areas of what's possible with technology, and at least I don't think that there's a lot of surveying being done or people like this is actually why I like Twitch a lot. If you have something like a subscription, of course you make money. Twitch makes money, the streamer makes money or is compensated for his work, but also if somebody subscribes to me, I know that they are part of this group that really enjoys my content and comes back again and again. Just like people here tell me, I've been following your content for 10 years, for 15 years, maybe not 15, but that's absolutely tremendous for me, because it shows that the value I gave them, maybe even before I was a Pro Tour champion, the value, the entertainment and the teaching, the education that I provided was valuable and remains valuable over time. Okay. Okay, Beltran, thank you. This was just for me to somehow get another data point on how my content helped people, because I'm constantly thinking about this. I want my coverage work to help people improve at Magic, but I'm not so sure how effective it is. And I don't have the time to put out endless hours of videos or articles. So I'm thinking about more, let's say, better ways of distributing valuable content to people that care for it. Today is just an experiment. Don't worry. I'm not doing market research, but the ultimate thing that is in the back of my mind before I can say I've done everything I wanted to do regarding Magic content is to somehow create something which by definition is does not decay through time, or at least at a much slower rate than the content you consume every day, and that where people from FNM player to world champion will give me the feedback that this was a valuable piece of content. Okay. Cool. So I just got the message from, who was it? Pascal. You linked me to the drafts from this morning. Okay, it looks like you're muted right now. This is actually really cool. If you go on Discord, I can show you the Discord interface I have right here. You can, similar to, let's say, Facebook Messenger, you can post links and images. I think you could even, let me try this. This is probably a bit more complicated. of course it didn't work. But you can like just drag and drop media and images, and I suppose we could do straw polls and everything in this chat, which is, I mean, partly we have this. Oh wait, I'm disconnected. No, sorry, I was disconnected for a second from Discord. I don't know what happened there. My internet here is not the best, but it's working. UTPL, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your comment. We've gotten some new people in here. Maybe we'll do an introduction. I don't know if we will ever get to these draft pods. I know that Marcio Cavallo was covered on stream, so maybe that's not the person that I would want to look at if we ever get to looking at.
Marcio's on the Marcio's draft on the cover today.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're talking about today.
Yes. So did you watch the commentary? Did you see the coverage?
I saw his draft today.
How was it?
It was very interesting because there were no clear decisions. There was like no moment where here's a bomb, I just take it. From the first pick on, he had very interesting decisions.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds like exactly the draft we could look at, especially because, like I said, my respect for Marcio as a drafter is incredibly high, and his results at the Magic Online Championship once again prove that he's really talented at what he does.
I mean, I'm not playing much at the moment, so I have no clue about the limited format. But when I looked at his pack, I was like, what the fuck do you even take here?
That's the second time you're turning my stream into PG. Well, I don't even know what it is. Non-family friendly stream. I'll have to install a filter soon. Okay, sound occasionally going out for me. I just had this same. I just had a notification, in fact, and it might just be that I'm somehow overloading my connection stability. But now, it tells me that the voice connection is there. Let me check what's going on.
The Lasnu is a bomb in quotations in sealed and is always splashable. The reverse engineer is I think mediocre uncommon.
Mm-hmm. By the way,
yeah.
I don't know, this sorting is completely messed up, but that's just a comment. We have Dreadnought, Either Seer, and Reverse Engineer as uncommons, and then SRAM as the rare. Please continue.
I wouldn't go for I didn't draft the formats too much. So well, it's really tough. I'm leaning to the Lasno Saddleback or even the Pima Ethers here, but I'm not a good player, so I don't consider myself a good player. So
I think reverse engineers, like if you look at beside the something ambitions card from Kaladesh, which was like
Tezzeret Gambit.
Tezzeret's Ambition.
Yeah, Ambition or Gambit or something like that.
Yeah.
No, Gambit is a Phyrexian mana spell, I think.
Okay, yeah, right.
Well, okay. So one thing that I can already say is that I'm very confused to hear the Lathnos Sailback suggestion, because for me, what I'm looking for in my early picks is power level, but especially high potential. So I want to pick the cards that, if things work out, they are really the highlights of my deck. And for Lathnos Sailback, I don't. This is not a core set format where in the end you want like 23 decent cards, but you want to really like somehow have the most synergy in your deck. Do you know where I'm getting at?
Yeah, of course. As I said, my experience is mostly based on sealed, and sealed and draft are two totally different formats. So the Saddleback is great in sealed, and I don't know if it's great in draft. And for me, the Fan Hauler who's from the body is nearly the same, was very unimpressive in Seal. So
But it has to be clear that improvise does become a lot stronger, especially
of course,
if you
of
first pick
course,
an improvise card.
of course. But uh, when regarding your decision-making process, I would go to take the Seer here. I'm not sure about Thrum. Yeah,
I
and
don't think
that's what I said.
I
Seer
don't
or
think Strum
Saddleback.
is all that exciting
Yeah,
as a rare. Yeah.
yeah. I would
Yeah,
definitely
it's.
my pick would be between the Seer and the Saddleback.
But I mean, Thram is it's still like it's a 2-mana 2/2 that sometimes draws you a card. It's still great. Like
Yeah,
It
but
does.
there's a common who does the same. I'm sorry, he costs one more, but he does the same as a Thrum. He sometimes draws you a card.
What I like about Strum is that I want to draft vehicles anyway. I think vehicles are just a very powerful card type. Um, and you most of your removal will be auras when you are drafting white. There's also the little combo with conviction, which is I think maybe not now, but it was when the set came out. Definitely one of the completely underrated cards. I'm not saying it's great, but it's a card you have to have on your radar to make certain white based decks go from good to great.
Yeah, I had so many triple conviction aggro decks with like 8 2-drops and 3 convictions in my first like pre-release week on Magic Online. That was sick.
It does a lot of things. It does allow the aggro decks to play a completely different game. You can like trade up again and again, but also you have one of the easiest ways ever to trigger revolt, which you first have to realize that this is also a revolt enabler. Like I said, now the format is not new anymore, but I certainly didn't realize this when I first saw the card that this would be a such an important effect. Okay, let me talk a little bit about what I see in this pack. I see the reverse engineer as a really high potential card because if I can turn this into a blue draw 3 cards or one blue draw 3 cards, then I think it's definitely one of the best cards in the pack. I also do like the heavy artifact decks, so that influences my decision. I think SRAM is a pick that you couldn't call wrong in this pack. I don't see a card where I would say you picked SRAM over Reverse Engineer, you picked SRAM over Pima Ether Seer. That was a mistake. I don't see this kind of card here. And regarding the Ether Seer, it goes back to the discussion of high potential. So yes, it has high potential if you end up in a deck that can use the energy. But for me, the Ether Seer isn't good enough when you don't really want the energy. But I'm not saying I'm not super experienced with the Ether Seer. I would like to pick it when I have one or two cards where I know the energy can also be used for something else.
I mean, Seer is kind of funny with like when you have let's say the 4-mana 6/6 vehicle, and like a lot of energy. But mostly it's just like a medium pick, really.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
what I think as well. So I think the green cards in the pack are really medium. I think the red cards are medium. Um, I don't like first picking fan hauler. I think that's just not something you should do. Or you should. I can't imagine many packs where I would want to first pick a fan hauler. We haven't talked about the Dreadnought because I really like it as a card. I don't think I've ever first picked it. It's just sometimes you see a Dreadnought and you see your deck, for example, with a few frontline rebels, and you just pick the Dreadnought and you feel kind of smug because you've gotten the cheapest 7-11 in the game.
Yeah.
So for me, the decision would be between Reverse Engineer and SRAM. I would go with Reverse Engineer because of my preference, and yeah, I will click on Show Pick because I didn't watch this. I didn't watch this draft.
Yeah, I watched it, so all my opinions are pre-made, pretty much.
Okay, but so you can consider this a test of my abilities. No, I think this is not a difficult pick because I don't think you can go very wrong here by picking one of the high potential cards. And if the thing is, Reverse Engineer I think leaves you still kind of open, because even if the artifact synergies don't end up working out, it's still a really good card for limited to just be able to go up 3 cards.
Maybe I'm.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like a harmonize, really. It's
Exactly.
not hard to make it.
You will have a random artifact, or the game will have progressed long enough that you can just pay 5 for it. It's just a good card. Let's we don't have to really talk about draw 3 in limited.
I just wanted to say maybe I'm too easy on giving up my first 1, 2, 3 picks. Maybe that's why.
Too
Because
easy?
I'm very. Yeah, I give them up maybe too easy, too early, or say, okay, these cards are not open and I'm out.
Okay, but
That's why that's why taking a double blue card, and it's
okay, but so this is a format where you usually end up in a 2-color deck. There are some
Of course.
There are some archetypes where you can splash, but it's quite rare. So for me, the fact that it's double colored first pick doesn't make a big difference. Either I end up in blue or not, but it's not. I'm not gonna splash blue anyway. So it's
definitely not. Yeah, maybe as I said, maybe I give up my colors too easy.
there is
when I start drafting.
So I think most drafters in the world, and if you ask me personally, it's probably like 90% or more, don't give up their colors enough. They will just go into, what is this called, like tunnel vision, once they have picked cards from 1 or 2 colors. And this is, I think, one of the easiest ways to improve in draft is by just stopping to do that, as hard as it sounds.
Yeah, I drafted yesterday and I gave up my first 3 picks and ended up in black-green, and it formed out in the last booster where all the black cards were passed to me.
So now I do actually have to go back to day 1 draft pod 1, but how do I get it now? I think I closed the link. Let me see if I can find it. No, day 1 pod 1. Here it is. Owen Turtenwald. This was also covered on stream, which is why I know it. First pick I think was between. We are going back to Marcio, but I think we have to talk about this. For me, the pick here was between Hungry Flames and Monstrous Onslaught, but there were 3 good green cards, and Hungry Flames is an effect that's quite rare in this format. Instant speed, 3 damage to a creature is not so easy to get. So this pick was not surprising to me. Then next pick, he took a Daring Demolition. Didn't need much time to think about it either. I think this is a very reasonable pick. And
Simon?
Yes?
You should consider that we have about 30 seconds delay if you switch up the pictures and stream.
I'm sorry, yes.
Best case, you just open the draft viewer yourself and click through it.
Yeah, that's we can now post the link into Discord so that everyone who's on Discord can just click on it and get it immediately. I can also put it on Twitch chat. this one card is not loading for me. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. My point is this: the second you're welcome to join us, Wizardrix. My
One
point,
card is a leopard.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
I know.
So, second pick is a Daring Demolition over a Reckless Racer, basically. After you, this is actually,
Oh, no, right.
it's actually unfortunate that you
The
don't
next
see the picks here, because we now have, what's the name, the 3-mana removal, Hungry Flames, and there is a red uncommon in the pack and a black removal spell. Let's just assume that Reckless Racer is better than all the non-Daring Demolition cards, and that the decision is only the decision is only, do I stay with the uncommon, the good uncommon in my color? This discussion is not about how good Reckless Racer is. This discussion is only about colors, okay? Do I pick the good uncommon in my color, or do I pick the comparable, maybe slightly better removal spell in black with double black casting cost? And here, staying open means that you do not let this decision be influenced by your first pick, because the fact that you're getting past a Reckless Racer from a pack that's lacking a rare means that your information about the openness of red cards towards your right is effectively zero. You have not generated any information to say that you will be red with any reasonable probability. On the other hand, somebody passed you a Daring Demolition, which we, under the assumptions we just made, say is the best card in the pack. So for me, staying open actually means taking the black card. A lot of people think staying open means taking the red card because you stay open for your second color. But that's exactly wrong. What you have to do is you have to pick the Daring Demolition so that you stay open for your first color. And this is one of the fundamental lessons that you have to understand about drafting.
I mean, you get zero information, as you said, because there's a rare or mythic missing. So
Exactly.
The only card I'm talking about, the only card I'm seeing what could be picked here is the Dragster, but giving up a removal in another color, it's not what I would do. I would pick the Demolition on the second pick.
And I would be quite strict. I would say if you don't pick the Demolition in this pack, you are making a mistake. It sounds harsh, but
of course, somebody is passing you a hard removal spell. Take it.
So if we're talking about how to learn this or how to become better, if I watch you draft, let's assume I'm watching you draft, and you're in your second pick, you're not picking the best card in the pack. It's on you. It's on you to prove why you're doing this, to give me the arguments for it.
Yeah.
So you cannot tell me I am picking Reckless Racer, even though Daring Demolition is the best card in the pack. And then if I ask you why, and you tell me you first picked a red card, that's not an argument I let you make, because it's a really weak argument that makes you a worse drafter, basically.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not speaking to you directly. I'm speaking to everyone.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to take the the ball of speaking here.
No, it's good that you answer me. It's just what I'm saying is not a lesson for you personally. It's a lesson for everyone.
No. I'm getting that, but I wouldn't consider the daring the 2/3 first striker. I wouldn't even consider it. There were two cards which are so much more power level or hard removal spell in limited format. It's always good.
We could argue that a sorcery speed hard removal is worse in Kaladesh
Of
is a
course.
revolt than in other formats. We can
Of
also
course.
argue that maybe Daredevil Dragster should be in the discussion because it's colorless and also quite powerful. But I just wanted to make this one point,
Yeah.
which is why I ignored every other card. You could also argue for
Of
Prey
course.
Upon, but I think Prey Upon is
No.
quite,
Between Prey Upon and the Demolition, it's obviously the Demolition.
There
No.
were
Prey Upon-
formats where you would have killed for a Prey Upon. So
Of course. But
Yeah, but Prey Upon is at an all-time low, I would say.
yeah, I agree. And did you see what I did here? I opened this window twice. So now I can move, and the time delay doesn't matter because you're already looking at pick 3. I've now changed, but you don't see this yet. And we can now talk about pick 3. And then pack 4 will also appear in a while. Anyway, pick 3, because pick 3 is really, really simple. You have a red removal spell, you have a Daring Demolition, and then you get another Daring Demolition. Now, of course, even if Caught in the Brides was for some reason better than Daring Demolition, you would still pick the black card because you got a weak signal that black might be open. Now this signal is intensifying. If you now pick the white removal card, you're sending completely confusing signals to your neighbors. This is not even a discussion. I think this is also not a difficult pick at all. And then when you look at pack 4, the pack 4 is interesting to me, because I really like Outland Boar, and I think Shock is also quite good. Druid of the Cowl is also a good green card, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. Any comments on this pack, on pack 4?
Well, I lean to Destructive Tempering. I like this card. It's at worst it's a falter effect and wins you the game, and at best it
At worst, it wins.
yeah, I know. I phrased it correctly. And at best, it kills the vehicle you want to get rid of. So,
Okay.
I like the decision on the card that you have the ability to choose the modes. But I'm underwhelmed with Shock, to be honest. In this format, it's a format of Riot Devils, and Shock doesn't do well in a Riot Devil format.
On the other hand,
And-
it's a format of
It's a shock.
sorcery speed removal. So instant speed
Of course,
removal
it's
and combat tricks. So
It's-
there's two
it's
sides
still
to
a
this.
shock. Yeah, of course, it's still a shock. But the Destructive Tempering, maybe I'm overestimating or overvaluing it. I really like it, and yeah,
I like it as well. I like it a lot more than I thought I would like it because of the versatility. If I've picked up the 3 cards that I've already picked, I don't see a lot of situations where I would pick it next, because I already have 3 removal spells, and 2 of them also destroy vehicles. So do you know where I'm getting at? It's to me.
I know.
The main value of Destructive Tempering is that it actually gives you something that a lot of the sorcery speed removals don't do, which is destroy vehicles. But we already picked 2 black ones, which might do it. It's what's interesting for me is that there is a gold card in the pack, which is kind of difficult to pick at this stage, because after pick 2 and pick 3, you don't really see your chances of ending up in red-green very highly. You could actually end up in green-black, but then Druid of the Cowl would be a much more reasonable card to pick than the Outland Boar. I still think that Shock is a better pick than Destructive Tempering, and we are not doing this to see who is right or wrong.
No, of course,
It's
of course
just
not.
it's just, to me, it makes more sense to add a Shock to the 3 cards that we already have.
But so you think Outland Boar is better than Shock in red green? Is that the case?
Yes. I think Outland
Because
Boar
I'm
is...
not even sure about that. I think I would value Shock over Outland Boar some
And-
amount of the time.
And what What about the danger of not ending up in red at all?
Well, if you take Outland Boar, you're hedging towards red, green, and
No, that's
And
clearly
not taking the shock.
pick that's least likely to make it into your deck, which is why I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you can take it. But
There's
what
no non-red pick I would think is viable. I really don't like Root of the Call.
and I think Night Market Aeronaut and High Spur Infusion and Prey Upon, they just don't cut it. So
Yeah, definitely.
you ultimately, I think if this was pick one pack one, it would be. It's hard to say. What would be the pick one pack one decision if the pack had just not one swamp but four?
I think I would still take Shock.
Yeah, I think it's relatively clearly shock pack one, pick one.
Who's
I would lean to the boar.
okay? Yeah, because then I
I-
think
I-
I think pick one pack one. The boar somehow becomes more interesting.
Yeah, as I said, maybe I'm underestimating shock. I know it's an instant, and there are a lot of cards, but it's just a shock.
Somebody really doesn't
And-
like
Oh.
shock, but you wouldn't take
No,
destructive
But
would you take disruptive tempering over shock in a first pick first pack scenario?
No, I don't think so.
I'm asking.
Well,
It goes
uh,
like 6 or something
I
usually.
don't know who I'm
he's
asking.
asking
but-
me, I
yeah.
think. Well, actually, I had this scenario in the draft yesterday in my LGS. I had a pack which was essentially shock or red cards with a shock, the black red uncommon, and the red 3 mana mythic with X spells. So destroy X artifacts, make X gremlins.
Yes.
And I hedged, it was totally defendable to take the shock or the black red card there, but I said for myself, I'm not that impressed of shock in the format that I'm just taking the mythic and
It was just a trick question because if you take shock in a first pick first pack scenario, then you have to take shock in a fourth pick fourth pack scenario.
nah,
fourth pick scenario.
I'm not taking shock in
Okay.
a first pick first
Okay.
pack. Normally I don't.
The thing about Outland Boar is ultimately it's just rule of thumb, but there are 10 two-color combinations in Magic, and this means Outland Boar has a 10% chance of making your deck. Of course, if you first pick Outland Boar, you will be more likely to lean towards red and green cards, but this is actually a disadvantage. It's a danger. It's a problem. It can be a problem. Whereas Shock will make 20% of your decks. So this is always the debate: how good does a gold card have to be worth an early pick? Let's say, I don't know, Reflector Mage or whatever. And usually the
Winding
answer,
Constructor?
yeah, also of course, the answer depends on just how busted the card is, if it comes together, and then the second thing is how high is the impact of the card if it appears at a later stage of the game, because a card with higher color requirements is a card that on average will not be entering the battlefield on turn 2, 3, or 4, but it still has to be good enough to be effective if you only draw your source for it on turn 6, 7, 8, or whenever that should be. Okay, I don't want to go into detail, but the why I opened this draft now was because Owen really smartly, in my opinion, gave himself the opportunity to be not red black, but to be red green or black green, should one of the two colors that he started his first 4 picks with dry up. So this is a typical example of how you're willing to lose 50% of your picks, but at this stage you don't even know which of your picks you're losing. He might be losing pick 1 and pick 4. He might be losing pick 2 and pick 3. He might also just be losing pick 5 with this pick. It's impossible to say, but he is really hedging his bets and saying, with this Bandar pick, of course this pack doesn't really have much, but with this Bandar pick, I can still draft all the 3 Junt color combination, the 2 color Junt combinations. Whereas if you pick here now the Overland Boar again, you pick, then you're really not giving yourself the best options, for example, to draft a black-green anymore, because you don't really have, you have 2 cards for black-green rather than 3. There's one more thing about this pack here, the Scrounging Bandar pick, which is, I guess, yeah, you could say it's relevant, but there's not a single red card. There's not a single red card in this pack. I have one question for you guys. What's the impact of passing 2 Outland Boars, pick 4 and pick 5, to the left? How much should it influence our decision making in the next few picks?
Well, I don't know if it's in the next few picks, but I guess in the next pack, I'm not seeing very much red.
Very much red,
No.
or very much green, or
I
both?
think you would not see green because he
Green.
also passed like 2
Yeah.
Druid of the Cowls and
Yeah.
other green cards. Like his green signal that he's passing to the left was insane, including 2 Outland Boars, but like other super strong cards as well. So green is going to be cut.
Play
next
upon
time.
and stuff like that.
So if Brian Braun-Duin to his left had just a reason to go into red-green, for example, by starting with a green or a red card, he would now have, I don't know, 2 Druids and 2 Outland Boars or something like that. What does this mean? And you cannot just start thinking about it in pack 2. What does this mean for Owen's preferred color combination going into pack 2?
Well, black-green rises in value because he gets more black in pack 2 and then potentially more green in pack 3.
Yes.
And he's less likely to see red-green.
Yeah.
And the second best option is black-red, because it's clearly red-green is the worst option, because it's most likely that you've put your left neighbor into red-green.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just some details. So something that ultimately he picked up a bunch of green cards, was rewarded for being flexible and open. I think he drafted 2-1. I'm not so sure. I also don't really care. The end
No, he
result,
drafted 1-2.
1-2. Okay, the end result is not what this is about, but really the decision making here. So
yeah.
I promised I would go back to Marcio's, but excuse me, I'm just doing this basically how I feel like. Let me just do this.
Well, it's your show, so
It's I'm the boss. Yeah. Brian, just now, to realize how little you know about what's going on, we do have the opportunity, and this is actually an opportunity which I think is super underestimated, the opportunity to really look at draft dynamics. I did actually a few draft videos about this. If you followed the Simon Says series religiously, you know this. I believe in basically taking all this information from a draft viewer and putting it on one big screen, and to say these people made this pick 1 pack 1 decision, and then this pick 2 pack 1 decision, and you can actually see how certain paths create either balance or imbalance or certain relationships. Florian, you will remember what we did in Madrid, which is basically
that was
the same thing.
that was very good.
I don't have this prepared here, but if you Google for Simon Says draft dynamics, you will find a bunch of things I did, and maybe not only draft dynamics but also draft viewer. And
Was
then,
that like Shota Yasuoka or something? You drafted like all 8 seeds to get familiar with the archetypes and see like how the packs played out with just himself.
yeah,
Basically, like emulating all 8 players.
yes. Where's this? Where's this? Where's this from? The Shota Yasuoka.
I just coverage talked about that. That was like his only limited preparation
Okay.
was drafting with himself, and then he
So
like crushed the Pro Tour.
so this is basically what I believe is missing in the highest level of draft preparation for the Pro Tour. People somehow think that it's sufficient to sit together and just draft, but it's not. It's not it's an analysis of the game which everyone is doing from their own perspective, from their seat. So you're ignoring the fact that you're actually playing an 8-player game, and only with this global holistic perspective you can actually generate the insights you need to generate. What I didn't know this about Shota Yasuoka, but I'm happy to hear that, because I think it's like I said, it's what you have to do. And now, of course, like I said, nobody cares anymore about whatever format this was, but I just want to show you
Very, very limited view.
okay. So I'm sure we could improve the visuals here, but the main idea was the main idea is that here you have the eight boosters in the pack, and the person that first picked Courser of Krufix, second picked Dawn to Dusk, and the person that first picked Herald of Torment, second picked Retraction Helix, and so on. Now, I don't even know what most of these cards do anymore, but this was kind of my idea, that this level of visualization and then also discussion with some of your testing partners is the only way to really give you the insights you need to understand how a draft evolves in the first few picks. And this is only 4 picks and 8 players, but everyone, if you go in the vertical, this Courser of Krufix pack has 14 cards. So he has 14 choices here, 13 choices here, 12 choices here, and every decision affects the whole table. Of course, the person to your right is affected the least by your choices, but if you really want to analyze this, you can spend a whole evening, a whole day just working with 8 packs. And I think this is something which people on the Pro Tour should be doing much more than drafting itself. And now I actually saw here pack1pick1.com, but I think it's offline. It doesn't exist anymore. And now it looks like Shota Yasuoka is doing something similar. So I assume maybe my work is actually has more of an impact than I think. Anyway, Ethertide Veil by Brian Bronduin. He follows it up, and now the cool thing is we know these packs already. What I'm doing with you now is the very, very restricted view on this kind of approach that I preach. He picks the Monstrous Onslaught, which makes sense to us because we identified it as the second best card in Owen's pack. And then he takes the Daredevil Dragster. So for him, Daredevil Dragster is better than Reckless Racer. Also, maybe there is a... So for 2 reasons. First of all, there is no reason for him to pick a red card when there's a colorless card of better color. And when we talked about the decision from Owen's perspective, we had to first think about the fact whether having a first pick red removal spell influences these decisions towards the Racer. The Racer was competing with the black removal spell for Owen, but here it's basically the same thing. So now we have Whale, Monstrous Onslaught, Daredevil Dragster. Dragster and Whale also really nice with the Onslaught, of course. But also Brian is not fixed to anything yet. Especially the first pick blue card. he has to wait to see blue cards to really make this happen. Either stream Leopard makes sense because you have the second big monster's Onslaught, you have a good read that Owen is not in green at the moment. We know this will change, but this is the truth of the draft. And here we see something that I was most interested in: Druid of the Cowl over Outland Boar. So the cost of this two-colored card are just too high for what it does. And it would be interesting to traverse now the whole table to see where it ended up. I'm not going to do that, but you're happy to do so. I would assume that the person that picks those up and ends up playing red-green was very fortunate to pick them up, but at the same time, the people that didn't pick the boars were right in doing so. Okay. Implement a ferocity over the second druid. That's interesting. We can. I'm not gonna go in too much into detail, but just this is already an interesting spot because we've now identified that BBD went into green from the signals that he got. We knew this. He also, whenever there was a boar, there was a almost strictly better choice in green, and he basically ignored the red card. So not the boars, not the tamperings, not the racer, and this is the first pick where he could be thinking, maybe I'm not really blue because I have the picks I had were Whale, Onslaught, Dragster, Leopard, Druid for Implement, Leaf, and then in pick 7 he picks Leaf in the Dust. Now he's green. He's green at this point. He's not necessarily blue, but has a slight tendency to prioritize blue cards because of the first pick Whale. He might also have a reason to not go into red-green because he passed the boars. Could be something that makes him think about this. But still, I don't think the Whale should be the primary reason for picking a blue card. The reason for picking a blue card should be that it's the best card in the pack, or it's the best card in the pack for the cards you are currently planning to play anyway, which are the green cards and the V. Okay. Enough about this. I will get a drink, and then I'll be back with Marcio's draft. But yeah, which I think we wanted to look at the day 2 pod 1. So we have seen this pick. We've discussed it in detail, and now we will look at the future together. Okay, everybody here. I'm not gonna do much longer because I'm getting a bit tired. Do you have anything to comment in chat or in Discord before we continue with this? Yeah.
I just opened my mic again. I'm muting always my mic. So
okay. Did you want to say something?
Crack sounds. No. Everything is fine.
You can mute it within Discord, right? Then I don't think there should be cracking. but it's probably easier for you
Okay.
to do it on the hardware side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish Magic Duels had a draft system. They should spend more effort on duels in general. Well, if the rumors are true, we might be seeing something new in the future. Anyway,
You mean MTG Next?
I have just as little information as everybody else, but at least the Hasbro investor meeting is mentioning it, so seems to be something. Okay, let's do this. I will once again do this trick here because of the delay. Why is this now like this? It's not really great. Let's see. So we talked about the first pick in detail. I don't think we need to continue that. So let's look at pack 2, and I've already opened pack 3. This is just because of the delay, so that when I switch to the next pick, that you are not all confused because you don't know where we are. Okay, first pick, draw 3 cards. Reverse Engineer is a card that wants me to draft artifacts. Is a card that wants me to be blue, but my philosophy is to not let my first pick dictate where I'm going. If like I said, here I just saw that he picked Aetherstream Leopard on pick 3, but in general I didn't watch Marcio's draft, so I don't know what he went for. Looking at this pack, I see Aeronaut Admiral as I have to make it larger. I think it's not really. I don't know why this draft viewer is suddenly worse to look at than the other one. Okay, and we will have to fix. I will move to the other view just when we switch the pack. So best white card, Aeronaut Admiral. Best blue card, Cruel Finality. Best green card, I don't know how good Lifecrafter's Gift is, but I think it's too situational, so I would probably pick Druid of the Cowl over it. We can discuss this. Red, for me, doesn't offer a first pick, and blue doesn't offer a pick. So the last card I want to mention is Hidden Stockpile, which I think can be absolutely amazing in this format. Even, for example, in a white-blue deck splashing black, in a black-blue deck splashing white. But if this card starts to go off, it feels really like one of the more unfair uncommons in the format. Any comments?
So would you have picked it? In this current situation, you've picked the double blue card. Would you have picked the stockpile?
If I think Hidden Stockpile is the best card in the pack, I would pick Hidden Stockpile. Yes, I haven't made up my mind completely, but I think there is a very good argument that it is. The way I see it is, I'm still in the finding phase. I have no idea. I have not a good idea if I end up in blue or not. And like I just said, Hidden Stockpile, I actually see the opportunity to put it into an, because it has a natural synergy with artifact heavy decks. So I would want to, for example, be blue-black, Inspire, splashing white for Hidden Stockpile, and that would be like the perfect home for the card anyway. Let's go through it. I think it competes with Aeronaut Admiral, with Cruel Finality, and one of the green cards. I'm not sure which one it is. My philosophy is would never be to take Hinterland Drake just because it started with the blue card. I think that's just not how you draft well. So I thought the Admiral is amazing. Now I think it's somehow not. I don't know why, but it's not really doing it for me. Cool Finality is decent, but not on the premium removal side, clearly. Green, I'm having trouble deciding which card I like best, which probably also shows that I'm not going to pick one. If I'm going with my general feeling, I would say Lifecrafter's Gift has the higher potential than Druid of the Cowl, and Druid of the Cowl also doesn't shine in every deck. I really like Hidden Stockpile, and I would in the with the level of experience that I have with the format, I would pick it because I think it's really powerful, and that because I would want to explore more decks, more options to make it really good.
Actually, I'm really curious what the Hidden Stockpile, because I like played it and I haven't been good, but like the version of going off is mostly paying one to scry each turn.
Which is not
So
not
what do you
bad,
mean?
right? It's paying one to.
I mean, yeah, it's not bad. I do. I like it's a good card. Like it's scratch away my lance and say, but I feel like you're like really selling the card there. So what do you mean with going off?
Yeah, I mean, scrying each turn is definitely a part of it. I think it becomes even better when you can start basically making semi-free attacks. So, for example, attacking with 4 servos to get blocked, and then you sacrifice one of them. It's not a card advantage play, but you can find avenues of combat where the weak creatures you wanted to sacrifice anyway, then just give you an additional effect by being able to attack with them. And I just think the continuous scrying is one of the best things you can do in Magic. Looting is better, but having a scry outlet that is as reliable as Hidden Stockpile is really tough to get.
Especially in this format where you don't want to hit your 6th or 7th land drop.
Yeah, and you just have to look for your high impact cards. That's just true. You get the artifact synergies. You get really good chump blockers. Some decks are just, when they see 3 servos on the other side, they don't really know what to do, because they cannot win the race anymore. That's one of the main things about it.
Also, one thing else interesting, the 3-mana 2/2 that can sacrifice other creatures or artifacts to get
Yes.
counter. That plus Hidden Stockpile. Do you like turn 7 plus? You don't need more lands. Do you get a counter or do you get a scry?
So every land I draw is a dead draw. You mean?
Because I personally would scry.
Yeah, me too.
Or at least I've done.
I didn't think this through now in great detail, but to me, like, I see it like this: your chances of having a land are 40 something percent. Your chance of having a really low impact card are 50 to 55%. So scrying is like half a card, basically, and a +1/+1 counter on whatever creature I have is not. Unless the situation is in such a way that I really need my scavenger to be 4/4 or 5/5 because of how the board looks. But then it's also not a difficult decision. If there is a chance to play for the long game with Hidden Stockpile, I think you should or you have to take it to really get the most out of it. Can somebody comment on the green cards? If we would take a green card, which one would it be?
If we would take a green card, I think Unbridled Growth. I'm not. I don't know. I wouldn't take a green card. Lifecrafter's Gift. Lifecrafter's Gift is okay in the right deck, like the black-green making +1/+1 counters Constrictor deck. But
I mean, if you're ending up with like a blue-green deck that's like not particularly shenanigans, it's more like bounce spells, tempo, curve out, and like Fusion is like fine. Kind of can.
The High Spire Infusion, okay. So, but what you described was also kind of a tempo deck, so you could also argue for the Druid. But the Druid is really only good if you draw it on turn 2. Druid, I think, I don't know, it's a weird card. So, Who here would pick Aeronaut Admiral or Cruel Finality? Most of you? All of you?
I would hedge the stockpile, to be honest.
Wouldn't you take the Infiltrator? I think maybe like Infiltrator might just be like a better card than the Admiral.
Oh, okay. You think it's that? You think the Admiral is that bad?
It's and I haven't played too much with it though, so
But
I can't really say too
you
much.
have to agree that
But
on paper the Admiral looks a lot more powerful than the Infiltrator.
But I really like it's you have like 1 or 2 vehicles with one, and then it's like.
That's
Yeah,
what I
I
mean.
might
That's why I
try
mean on
to-
paper. That's why I mean on paper. Yeah. Cruel Finality is this an option for anybody?
It's I don't know.
It's not
In
so
this
easy,
pack-
right? It's not an easy pick at
It's
all.
not so easy. It's not so easy.
I think I would decide. I personally would decide between Hidden Stockpile, and then I would have to make my mind up between Druid of the Cowl and Lifecrafter's Gift. But there, I'm really lacking somehow the information that, like the real deep experience with the format. So I think the pick is between Hidden Stockpile and Lifecrafter's Gift, without going into detail. But I'm not convinced that the white cards are really doing it for me. I don't want to second pick Cruel Finality, and ultimately, I think Druid of the Cowl is just not good enough too often, or another like too mediocre in too many games. Okay, are you ready for the truth? Maybe you all know it already. I don't.
I think he took Lifecrafters, right?
So now, no, he took the Druid. So
Okay.
Marcio Cavallo believes that Druid of the Cowl in the scenario of second pick, in the second pick scenario is the better choice than Lifecrafter's Gift, which I can absolutely get behind. Now, if somebody wants to do the job of figuring out where the stockpile went, that would be really interesting for me. Just also like the point in the draft at which it was taken would be interesting. Okay. So, sorry, my internet is, I think, already quite overloaded with what I'm doing here. So things are a bit slow anyway. I already revealed the fact that either Stream Leopard was taken from this pick, so let's make it a bit quicker. We have the Leopard, we have the Intervention, and we have the Cavalry. In blue, there is nothing. And we are now at a point where we have the blue card draw spell, and we picked the Druid. So this is a typical example where if we get a signal that coincides with our second pick, the Druid of the Cowl, we can try to cement ourselves in that color, in green. And I think this is not really a big discussion point. The fact that you take Leopard over Lifecraft Cavalry and Heroic Intervention, I think is clear. And yeah, I also don't see a reason to, for example, pick a white removal spell in this spot. Anyone disagrees with this pick?
I just how do you evaluate the white removal spell? Like how much worse or better is it than the Leopard?
I think it's quite a lot worse. But that's because this format rewards you for being really proactive and having those energy 3-drops, energy 2 and 3 drops, just to me are create some of the most unfair starts of the format. So some like starts you cannot really catch up with if you are drafting this kind of Caught in the Brides or Daring Demolition kind of deck. You will almost never make a strong tempo play with Caught in the Brides, and there are not so many insane bombs for 6-7 mana that you absolutely need to handle with an effect like it. I don't like picking Caught in the Brights particularly early, to be honest. So I will, for example, it goes back to a similar discussion we had. In a first pick, first pack scenario, I think either Stream Leopard is still the better pick than Caught in the Brights. I don't know. I mean, the people I'm talking to tonight are you are on different levels of your limited experience, but I think all of you know that the mantra of bombs removal and evasion is only a rough guideline of what you should be doing, and ultimately it's about how you win games in the format you're drafting.
Who needs removal?
It's actually interesting, and in particular, Marcio has been drafting in all the formats of the last months. He has drafted with a very clear priority on curve and combat tricks. So not even trying to win some attrition game or to deal with the opponent bombs when both players are just top decking and flooding. Yes?
But I mean, like, even if you have like removal, it's still usually like a race, like a removal. It's like your removal spell is just another tool in the race. It's like magic. Magic is like, I'd say quite interesting in like how important life total is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, we tell people like how it's just a life total and life is research, but in Magic, like usually, like it's a huge disadvantage if you're at like if you're just somewhat even and one player is at 5 and another is at like 15.
Because it restricts your option space so significantly. It feels completely miserable to be the person on 5 because you know every attack that you are making is effectively much more costly and much more risky than the person that's on 17. The person on 17 always has the option to just attack with everything.
And there's always going to be another 2/2 flyer, or like not always, but.
This is actually true. I think that in this format in particular, the first person to drop to, let's say, 5 is like heavier at a heavier disadvantage than in other formats, if that makes sense. Of course, I think the first person to drop to 5 in limited is like a huge favorite to lose, but in this format it's probably even if you see who drops to 10 first, it's already
your sound is like bugging a bit out.
Yeah, it should become better again.
Sound.
I had a bit of a bad connection, but now it's better. I think I have to stop because somehow I don't know what's wrong. I'm actually happy that we got the stream halfway stable, but yeah. Anyway, I'm almost done here, so we also don't have to finish this in any. It's never finished. We can continue this all night. It's just. We've done this now for over 3 hours and we've only touched on so few things, really.
By the way, you wanna know where Hidden Stockpile ended up?
Yes, that was
Marcio saw it again, pick 10, and Josh Layton took it, pick 11.
Okay. It's a card that I think goes much higher in pack 2. Because then you can really evaluate if it will work out for you or not. Okay, guys, I'm dropping frames here now, and my internet is, I think, just done for the night. I'll just stop right here because I don't think it's very helpful when you can't hear me or when things are not really working. I hope you enjoyed this. It was an experiment. If you have feedback for me, let me know. Just write me on Twitter or through one of the other channels. If you want to have some closing statements, please do them now.
Well, thank you for the awesome stream.
You're welcome. Cup of pride.
Well, I feel like I'm the one who's talking. I'm sorry.
Why? There's nothing wrong.
I don't know. It feels weird. We have here are four other peoples, and we are talking to each other. It feels weird.
Well, it's part of the experiment to turn viewers into content creators.
Maybe it's kind of easier for me because I tried doing streaming and stuff. I don't know.
Are you on Twitch?
Yeah, of course. Same name, same.
But are you active? Are you active as a streamer?
No. I tried streaming a bit and having one viewer and time restrictions, and I don't want to start streaming at
But
11.
that one viewer loves you.
Yeah, I am the viewer. I am watching myself, I don't love me.
It counts yourself, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It counts yourself.
Okay.
So maybe
anyway,
it's easier for me to talk.
For me, the big experiment was if people would enjoy this without Magic Online running in the background. But honestly, for me, this was also more enjoyable in a way because I could really focus on our discussion, on showing some stuff on screen, and if I'm playing a draft at the same time, I can try to give you the same level of commentary, but it's always going to be, well, I'm always going to be interrupted by having to make decisions in my draft game. And I'm still competitive enough to not want to just, play, daddle around, because I don't enjoy that.
And this decision is what makes me want to watch content creators. It doesn't matter if it's LSV or who else, but these in-depth decision. Okay, I have my hand here. The options. There are 4 different options. Which way I choose? What can I done better here? This is why I want to watch Magic. This is how I want to improve. And
okay.
Yeah.
Homework. If you
No.
if you play Magic Online or if you play in real life and you have exactly some of these decisions in draft or in gameplay, just try to take a screenshot, try to somehow record it in a way that makes it actually possible to gather enough information to help discuss the decision points, because this, I think, would be a really awesome way that we would have Magic game content without actually playing a game. So, for example, the few of you who are really active on Magic Online, I'm sure you have these points where you go back and do the replay, and you say, should I have done, should I have this? And you could just come on Discord. You would send the draft log. You would put the screenshot in Discord, and then we would together discuss what was your thought process, what does the community think, my viewers think, and then I will also add. I will mostly be there to facilitate the discussion with smart questions, but of course I'm also happy to show you my approach. And the most important thing is that it's not really about what the best decision would have been in the past, but what to learn from it about how to think about Magic in the future.
Man, I wish I had recorded the draft yesterday. It was such a great decision making, and it was so fun.
Just take some notes. Take some notes next time.
Yeah, sure.
When I'm fascinating when I think about Magic is I had been a very like if I'm properly try hard, I have to properly try hard Magic. I have to like not be in a mood where I'm like relaxing or just like being casual about it. I need to be like 100% there. But when I'm finally like in that mood, I usually like take a screenshot of like if I'm unsure of a decision.
Okay. Do you already discuss it with your friends?
No.
Okay.
I don't actually have like any competitive Magic friends.
One thing that my brother basically took over the competitive playing from me, and what he has done, which has really excelled his game, is he has found a group of players in a similar skill range and a similar dedication level, and they will just be on Skype or Hangouts and do screen sharing and drafting together and discussing all this kind of stuff. So that's a really easy way to gather feedback and to get better together.
Skype is great.
Drafting together on Skype is great. When you have friends, and it's a lot of fun. But playing Magic on Skype is worse because the time is running out if you start discussing with your.
Of course, and this is going back to the team discussion where it's really not about making all the decisions together. It's about one person playing. And then because everybody saw everything that happened, you have the potential to just go back and say, look, here on turn 3, I think you had to play the Druid of the Cowl because of this and this and this. And here you see on turn 6 what would have been the difference. This is what I mean. Not because in the end, Magic Online is a testing ground, is a testing tool. If you will not win all your matches on Magic Online, nobody does. But and Skyping with people, the goal of it should not be to win more matches. The goal should be to become better so that you can win more matches when it counts. That's all I have, guys. Good night.
Thank you for, as I said earlier, for the awesome time hanging around here with us.
I do want to say that playing together, like Skyping, is actually kind of great. Like just like coping, though you need to be aware that you might feel close to timing out. But yeah, good.
Awesome.
Good talk.
Good night, guys.
Sorry for the F words.
Good night.
It's okay.
Good night.
Good night.